Judge James Boasberg sat firmly at the bench, his eyes locking with Tom Homan's as the packed courtroom fell silent. Homan, the former acting director of ICE, stood tall and unapologetic, flanked by his legal team. The air was thick with tension, the kind that builds when justice and defiance clash in one room. Boasberg leaned forward, his voice sharp. "Mr. Homan, your statements and conduct have been reckless and inflammatory. Do you deny encouraging actions that defy this court's previous orders?" Homan didn't flinch. "I stand by everything I said. I defend the law and national security, not political correctness." Gasps echoed as Boasberg's brow furrowed. "This court is not a stage for political grandstanding. You were instructed to halt certain operations pending review, yet evidence suggests you deliberately ignored those rulings." Homan crossed his arms, staring straight ahead. "The safety of Americans can't wait for bureaucracy." The judge raised the document. "Here is the injunction. Signed and clear." "Yet, your directives continued. ICE agents acted under your guidance in direct contradiction to this court's authority." Homan's lawyer interjected. "Your Honor, my client operated within his discretion under federal statutes." Boasberg wasn't moved. "That's not how the rule of law works. Discretion doesn't mean disregard." "Mr. Homan, are you aware of the consequences for contempt of court?" Homan nodded, still defiant. "I'm fully aware. I've been in tougher spots than this, Judge." The gallery murmured as Boasberg banged his gavel once. "Then you know you're testing the limits of legal tolerance. Let me remind you, no one is above the law, not even former federal officials." Homan shifted slightly, his jaw tight. He still didn't blink. Boasberg then turned to the U.S. attorney. "Has your office reviewed the supplemental evidence?" The prosecutor stood. "Yes, Your Honor, we believe there is sufficient evidence to warrant criminal contempt charges against Mr. Homan." The room stirred again. The judge nodded slowly. "Then I'll proceed." He faced Homan once more. "You continued enforcement actions in areas clearly restricted by federal court order. That is not just a violation, it is contempt." Homan didn't deny it. "I did what I believed was right." Boasberg leaned forward again. "Belief doesn't excuse breach. In this court, the Constitution comes first. That is the foundation of every action we take. You chose to defy that foundation, and now you face the consequences." Homan's expression remained unreadable. Boasberg instructed the clerk to read the charges formally. "Thomas Homan, you are held in civil and potential criminal contempt of court for deliberate and willful violation of federal injunctions issued on June 3 and July 22. The clerk's voice echoed. Homan's lawyer asked for a recess. "We'd like to consult further and request a delay in proceedings." But Boasberg shook his head. "No delay. This is not a surprise. You've had ample notice. This court cannot reward defiance with timeouts." As murmurs grew louder, the judge raised his hand. "Silence, or I will clear the gallery." The courtroom quieted again. Reporters scribbled furiously, capturing every word, every glance. Homan stood stoic as the courtroom walls seemed to close in tighter. "Mr. Homan," Boasberg continued, "this court's patience has limits. You have crossed those limits. I am ordering your immediate detention pending further investigation and arraignment on criminal contempt." Shock spread like wildfire across the gallery. A U.S. Marshal stepped forward, quietly moving toward Homan. His attorney protested. "This is an overreach, Your Honor. He has no prior record." Boasberg's voice boomed. "He has a record of defying this court. That record matters here." The marshal placed a hand on Homan's arm. He didn't resist. He looked toward the gallery, scanning the crowd briefly, eyes unwavering. A few supporters stood silently. Others bowed their heads. Cameras clicked just outside the courtroom door. As the marshal led him away, Boasberg made one final statement. "This court will not tolerate disregard for its authority. Let this serve as a reminder to all officials, current or former, compliance is not optional." He banged the gavel again. Outside, the media swarm awaited. Reporters shouted questions as Homan was escorted through a side exit, avoiding the main crowd. The buzz was electric. Social media lit up in real time with clips and quotes. Headlines raced each other for dominance. Some praised Boasberg for standing firm. Others called it political theater. Homan's allies immediately launched statements defending his record and intentions. His critics called for more charges. The clash was no longer confined to the courtroom. Back inside, Boasberg sat in silence for a moment. Then he addressed the next case, but the air hadn't cleared. The echo of confrontation hung heavy, a reminder that even in quiet halls, battles for principle and power can roar loudly. The legal community took notice. Within hours, law schools were already drafting case studies. Analysts dissected every angle. Was Boasberg making a political statement, or simply defending judicial integrity? Opinions split down familiar lines. By nightfall, protesters had gathered, some with signs reading "Justice is blind," others with "Free Homan now." Chants bounced between buildings, forming a chorus of conflict. America's divisions once again found a new symbol in a single courtroom. Former federal officials began issuing public comments, some cautioning about the precedent being set, others applauding the reassertion of judicial authority. Congress members chimed in, too, fueling what was already a legal and political firestorm. Cable news dedicated full segments to the arrest. Unprecedented. One anchor shouted, "It's about time." Countered another. Pundits debated if Homan would be convicted or if this was a warning shot meant to deter future defiance. As dawn broke the next day, court documents circulated, revealing the detailed timeline of Homan's alleged violations. Legal blogs and watchdog groups pounced, publishing breakdowns, timelines, and previously sealed memos. Homan's legal team filed an emergency appeal. "This is a miscarriage of justice," they claimed. They argued that national security decisions can't be second-guessed by the judiciary in real time. But the appeals court didn't grant an immediate stay. Judge Boasberg, meanwhile, returned to his chambers, unmoved by the media storm. He issued a statement. "This court respects all institutions but expects that respect in return. The law is not subject to personality or position." As Homan awaited arraignment, his supporters organized rallies and fundraising campaigns. Online petitions flooded platforms. Meanwhile, legal experts warned, criminal contempt is serious. It carries real consequences, not just headlines. By the week's end, both sides had dug in. The Department of Justice confirmed it was reviewing additional actions taken under Homan's leadership. The outcome remained uncertain, but one thing was clear: the showdown had only just begun.